The second award and the next recipient is the voiceover will tell us more, but accompanied by Sayyid Mia, I call upon Professor Ben Turok, please.
Professor Ben Turok has been a member of the African National Congress Alliance for 5 decades. He was a member of the National Secretariat of the Congress Alliance and drafted as well as presented the economic clause of the Freedom Charter at the Congress of the People. He was a founder member of Umkhonto weSizwe and led a unit in the first action in December 1961, which led to 3 years in prison from 1962 until 1965. While in exile, he was the founder and director of the Pan-African Institute for African Alternatives in 1986, with centers in 6 countries. He returned from exile in 1990. After the advent of democracy in 1994, Turok served in various capacities, including head of the Commission on the RDP Reconstruction and Development Program, the Provincial Cabinet in Gauteng, and various committees of the National Assembly. Turok has degrees in engineering, philosophy, and political science, and is the author of 23 books on development in Africa. In 2008, SASCO, the South African Students' Congress, awarded him the Frans Fanon Award for Public Dialogue and Intellectual Work at the 15th National Congress at Walter Sisulu University, Umtata. Turok now serves as director of the Institute for African Alternatives.
Thank you very much. This is a temporary business, sitting in a wheelchair. I have a small skin problem, and for God's sake, it happened just 2 weeks before this event, and I'm sorry about that. In 1961, a foreign journalist came to Johannesburg and wanted to interview Walter Sisulu. It was a very tough time. Things were very complex, as some of you will remember. And so what we did was we asked Ahmed Kathrada if we could use his flat as a place to have tea. And so Walter Sisulu, Kathy, myself, and this journalist went to Kathy's flat to have tea. Well, we talked, obviously, and there was an interview between the journalist and Walter Sisulu. And in the middle of our conversation, 3 special branch people burst in and arrested all of us and took us to Marshall Square, where we were locked up. For me, it was rather unfortunate because they took my fingerprints at Marshall Square. And the result was that I was later prosecuted for sabotage on the basis of those fingerprints. So my memories of Kathy and his flat are rather dramatic, as you can imagine. But what I wanted to say really was that Kathy's flat represented something terribly important. And it represented the organized presence of the Indian community in South Africa, the TIC, NIC, and all the people, business people and all, who supported the National Liberation Movement at the time. And I want to just say in a few words, I'm told I only have 3 minutes, I want to pay tribute to the Indian population of South Africa and the traditions of the TIC, of the NIC, and their enormous contribution to the liberation movement. We saw this evening earlier how the Dadu-Quma Pact took place. I knew Monty Naika very well, I knew Dadu very well. And I want to pay tribute this evening to an organization which seems to be trying to keep alive a spirit of resistance, of opposition, of fighting, because I think the time has come that we do need to stand up, and I want to support very, very strongly the comments by Yusuf Musaji when he said earlier this evening, this is a period of crisis. Let's not pretend. Let us understand it is a serious crisis. I agree with the judge, perhaps the most serious crisis since 1994, and the time has come for everybody to stand up and do what you can in whatever way you can. So let us agree this evening that the time has come not for self-adulation, but for taking up the weapons once again in the cause of democracy, in the cause of national liberation, in the cause of New South Africa. And that's what I want to thank you for. Thank you.
Many thanks, Professor Ben Turok. Impassioned as always, it's on us to take up the challenge. Said Mia and Derek Hanekom, if you can stand for the photographs, please, with Professor Ben Turok. Great stuff, many thanks. If we can assist Ben Turok off this stage, please. Hassan, if you can provide assistance, please, my man. Sadiq. Careful, Hassan.